What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cage My IQ. This is the UFC Vegas 71 picks and prediction show by yours truly, Cage. But before we get into any of the picks and predictions, I got some great announcements for you guys. First, I am the new member of the Bloodline Entertainment Network. So I feel great to be part of this great group of guys forming this new network. We're doing everything from sports to entertainment to wrestling to anime. It's going to be a great network. So if you could all go to YouTube and subscribe to the Bloodline Entertainment Network at www.youtube.com/at the Bloodline ENT. That would gratefully help us out. We want to get these subscribers and the viewers up on the new channel. So if you guys could go on over to that and subscribe to that as well. I'm still going to be here on the Cage My IQ page as well. So if you could also, and if you haven't done so already, follow and subscribe to me on social media. I am on Twitch, I'm on Twitter, I'm on IG, and I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter with all my stuff. So all you gotta do is go to at CageIQ on Twitter and hit the follow button on my Twitter page. And of course, the YouTube channel, which is at Cage My IQ on YouTube. Just hit the subscribe button. And then please, if you haven't done so already, smash the like button down below and hit us up in the comment section. Let me know what you think of my picks and predictions. And then, of course, check out my cages bet slips on every Friday on the Bloodline Entertainment Network website. I put it out there. I'll have it out for you guys on early Friday, late Saturday morning to get you guys ready for each and every UFC event. And of course, the last announcement I got is the fact that we have new merch out now. Of course, we are on fightersfirst.shop, the new logo, and the new merch here. All you got to do is check us out on fightersfirst.shop and go to the Cage My IQ merch link there and give us a try. Try some of our merch. Right now, we got three different styles. We got gray, we got the green, and we got the white. Let us know if you think we should do anything else, like do a blue, do a black. Give us all your feedback, but definitely check out the merch. Buy our merch is the new hottest thing on fightersfirst.shop right now. Well, let's break into the action here on this card. We've been away for 2 weeks. I wanted to come back hot and strong now that I'm part of the Bloodline Entertainment Network. But the very first fight that we got for you guys on UFC Vegas 71, as you see right here, we got a matchup between two bantamweights. At first, we got Dana Backrell, who's going up against Brady Highstand in the bantamweight division, as you see right there. Dana Backrell is the minus 175 favorite, whereas Brady Highstand is the plus 150 underdog. This is the matchup of styles here. You got Bakra Dana, who is more of a striker. He has power, he has forward movement. Everything that he does instills power. He's going to try and get you. He is very patient with the striking. And then you got Brady Highstand, who is more of a grappler. He's going to wrestle you, trying to take you down. If the fight is standing, it's going to definitely favor Dana. But the fight gets to the ground and gets in the nitty gritty, it's going to favor Brady Highstand. It's going to be, as a matter of fact, this fight is going to be instilled on the fact of who's going to get their game plan going and who's going to be able to instill it and be more effective in that way. Because if the fight's standing, Dana's going to just piece up on Brady, but Brady can get Dana down to the ground. He should be able to lay on him, instill pressure, and wear him out, and keep him from laying those powerful shots because he's going to be on his back or on his stomach. I'm going to go with the underdog here because I feel like this is more of a 50-50 fight. I'm going to go with Brady Highstand. I know the last time we saw Dana face grappler in Al Tang Haley, he lost that fight and he had a tough time dealing with the takedowns. And I feel that Brady can he just keeps on pushing forward. He keeps on trying those takedowns, and usually at the time he gets them. And I think that's going to be the equalizer in this matchup. So I'm going with Brady Highstand by decision in this matchup. I could see Brady getting caught by an overhand shot and get put down, but I just think that he's going to be able to get inside of Dana, take him down, and have a wrestling field day with him. So I'm going with him by decision in this matchup. Let's move on to the next matchup we got for you guys. We got a women's bantamweight matchup between Priscilla Cachoeira going up against Cream Silva. We got Cream Silva fighting Priscilla. This is actually going to be taking place at flyweight. So we have uh, Priscilla Cachoeira, who's usually a bantamweight, and she's been fighting the last couple fights at flyweight. This is a very interesting fight. This could be 50-50 in my opinion. You got Priscilla Cachoeira. She's the zombie. She's always moving forward, always throwing with power. She just keeps on moving, and she has good durability. She has good pressure. But then she's going up against somebody in Korean Silva who has a very overall great game. She's a good grappler. She's a good power striker. She can get you down, submit you, or she can finish you on the feet with her quick combinations. But her one weakness in this fight is the fact that her durability, her her gas tank. She's always finishing fights in the first round, sometimes the second round. But as the fights go longer and longer, she starts to wear out a little bit at the round one. She starts to slow down, whereas Priscilla Cachoeira has very good cardio, and she is always pushing the pace, which affects her opponents. But at the same time, I would say that Priscilla Cachoeira relies too much on the power striking, and she is weak against the grapplers and getting taken down. So it makes it for a great a prelim fight here for you to go either way, and that's why the odds are kind of almost like just at it head to head. It's more like 60-40, but you can say it's 50-50. And with that, I'm going to go with the one with the more upside here with Kareem Silva, just for the fact that that round one, she's going to be hot and going, and they're going to be throwing balls to the wall. And I think with her ground game, which is Cachoeira is weak against, I think she might pry on that. And I could see Kareem Silva getting a first round submission victory over Cachoeira, but I'm going Korean Silva either way. I like her by first round submission, like I said before, or I like her by decision here. I think she's going to just do too much with the grappling and the striking, whereas Cachoeira is primarily just a striker. So once again, Korean Silva in this matchup. Moving on to next matchup here, we got a very uncommon uh, matchup of featherweights in Francis Fire Marshall going up against William Gomes in this matchup. Francis Marshall is the minus 195 favorite, whereas Gomes is the plus 160 underdog. You got Francis Marshall. He has power in the striking. He has good hands, good boxing, good movement, and pretty decent jiu-jitsu, whereas William Gomes has good grappling, good striking, and so jiu-jitsu, but everything that he does, Francis Marshall does better. And I just love the upside with Francis Marshall here. And even though William Gomez has the 8-inch reach advantage, he doesn't use it that much. He primarily focuses on his grappling in his matchups when he probably should be focusing on his striking with how tall of a reach that he has. And Francis Marshall, I think, is just going to take that and run with it. He's going to look to throw those combinations in. I could see him trying to get inside and throw the jab and the hook, but then trying to engage in the clinch, catch Rune Gomez off guard and clinch him from behind and try and drag him down. Because even though Gomez is a grappler, he is prone to being taken down. And I think that's something that Francis Marshall is going to take advantage of. And I could see him winning by submission on the ground, or I could see him finishing the fight via ground and pound. But I got Francis Marshall with that minus 195 odds in this fight, and I got him right now by decision. I could be playing him in Cage's bet slip when I get to the odds. Usually the odds come out every Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon. So depending on what the odds are with him with the props, I could be playing him very positive on Cage's bet. So keep a lookout for that. But Francis Marshall is my pick in this matchup, and I think he's going to be a favorite amongst all the other bettors this week for UFC Vegas 71. Moving on to the next fight on the prelim, we got a heavyweight battle between brothers of UFC stars. We got Muhammad Usman, who, as we know, is the brother of course, Usman, Kamaru Usman, former welterweight champion. And then we got Juno Tafa, who is the brother of Justin Tafa. And this is going to be a barnstormer of a battle. Muhammad Usman is coming in at plus 155, whereas Junior Tapa is coming in at minus 190. This is going to be a tough one because Muhammad Usman, who just won the Dana White Contender Series, and he's coming in. He has that grappling background he likes to use every now and then, but then he has knockout power. You saw it in the Dana White Contender Series finale. That's how he was able to equalize Zach Pruga in that battle. He was kind of losing a little bit, but then boom, he catches him with that overhand shot, knocks him out, and finishes him. And that's been the pedigree of his career, using that power and the grappling to outdo his opponents. But then you got a guy opposite him in Judah Tafa, who's only 4-0, but he is minus 190 because he, just like his nickname, the Juggernaut, he is a beast. He has probably better hands than Usman. He still has knockout power. He can grapple with you, but the one kind of weakness is he starts to slow down a little bit as the fight goes on, rounds 2 and 3. Whereas Muhammad Usman has a good gas tank. He knows when to use his power. He knows when not to. He is patient. He's learned a lot from his brother when it comes to putting everything together. And where a lot of people are going to be on Junior Tapa by finish, I'm going to go with Muhammad Usman by decision. I feel like he's going to be able to get more out there. He's going to be the guy that pushes the pace midway through the second round and then the third round. Whereas I think Junior Tapa is going to be the guy to start the fight out strong. I could see Junior Tapa taking the first round, but then slow down, and that's when Muhammad Usman's going to take over. He's going to take round 2, and then he's going to pour it on round 3. He's going to look for the finish. He won't get it. I think he'll come close. But then when it comes to the judges, he's going to win by decision here. I love that plus 155 mark within the betting. I could be using it depending on how all the other ones go. But that's the guy I'm going to be looking at in the next day or two to see how the lines move up or down. But I'm going with the underdog here, Muhammad Usman, by unanimous decision in this matchup of brothers. Let's move on to the next matchup here. We got a women's bantamweight battle between Cara Rosa going up against Norma Dumont. This is a battle of strikers who like to grapple. You got Cara Rosa, the minus 150 favorite. She pours out a lot of volume. She always is playing to move forward. She incorporates a little bit of leg kicks in it, but it's all about combinations with her. And the one weakness I've seen in her game, which was one of our last fights, is the fact that she isn't as good defending the takedowns as every other person in the division. So she went up, of course, as you see there, one of her last fights was against Sarah McMahon. That's what did her in, was the fact that even though she was pouring in the volume with the striking, she had no answer for Sarah McMahon's grappling and takedowns. And going up against a high-level jiu-jitsu artist in Norma Dumont, who loves to throw, likes to stand and trade shots, who is also very good with the volume game and likes to out-volume her opponent. She is no slouch with her takedown game. She's used it in the past. She has a really high-level submission output as well. It's just something that she uses as like a backup plan to her strike. And I think as the fight goes on, I feel like when she sees that Cara Rosa is having the more better version of a fight than she is by pouring out more volume. I think she's going to resort to her grappling, and I think that's going to play a factor in this fight. A lot of people are going to be on Cara Rosa by decision or by KO just for the fact that when you look at her on DraftKings, she has a high level input, output, volume rise, and points rise. But then you look at the fact that when she got out controlled with the grappling, it wasn't as good, and she didn't win. I could see Norma Dumont resorting to that, and then I'm going with her by submission round two. I think round one she catches wind of what Rosa is going to do to her, and then she's going to go right to her grappling game. She's going to take down Cara Rosa, and I could see her finishing Rosa by round two rear naked choke. So I'm going with the underdog here. This could be a theme of the night here with all these underdogs. But in this one, I'm going with Norma Dumont round two sub. But I could see different situations where either fighter can win. If she can't take her down, I think Carosa could outvolume her and do a lot of damage in the stand-up game. But it all hinges on the fact that if Norma Dumont can not be very like stubborn and stick to the striking, she's going to need to go to the striking early, but then transition to the grappling if the striking isn't working out. But I'm going with her in this battle. Let's move on to the next matchup here. We got a men's bantamweight battle between the Asian Rani Yaya going up against Montel Jackson. Here's a guy who's been in the UFC, it feels like for 20 years now, but you got Rani Yaya, who is the plus 430 underdog. You got Montel Jackson, who's the heavy favorite on the card at minus 625. Ronnie is a submission jiu-jitsu specialist. He primarily wins majority of his fights by submission with his takedown game. He's very good at using the jiu-jitsu to get the guys to the ground, and he has one of the best transitions while on the mat, and he usually uses that to control the fight on the mat, throw elbows, throw knees, and when his opponents are trying to move positions, he gets them, and then he either submits them by rear naked choke, guillotine, or armbar, one of those. But if you're on the mat with him, more than likely you're going to have a hard time in the office. But he's going up against a guy in Montel Jackson, who's a very good striker. He has almost 10 knockdowns in the last 9 fights. So in his fights, he's usually guaranteed 1 to 2 knockdowns because of the power that he has. He has very quick hands, very quick movement. He has a durable body. He has good cardio. And that's why I'm leaning with the big time favorite here, Montel Jackson. I think he gets it done in the first round by knockout. Ronnie has been one of the most durable guys in the UFC, but he's on the end of his career. I feel like he has fought over 30, 40 times in the UFC. He doesn't do good against guys with strong striking backgrounds, and unless he can get to Montel first and he can take him down, I think it's going to be a long day for him, and that's why I'm going with Montel Jackson by first round knockout. This is one of my confident picks here. I just think the power is too much, the quickness is too much, and the fact that he has had several knockdowns in each fight in the last 9 fights. It's just a recipe for disaster for Yaya in this fight. So I got Montel Jackson by knockout. Here's one of the kind of skeptical fights on this card. We got Ricky Glenn going up against Christos Giagos in the lightweight division. I really don't get the odds on this fight. We got Ricky Glenn, who's the minus 210 favorite, going up against Giagos, who's the plus 170 underdog. Ricky Glenn has not fought in almost 2 years. I believe, and he's only fought twice in the last 5 years, whereas Christos Giagos has been the more active fighter. He's fought several times in the last 2-3 years. He might have fought double of what Ricky Glenn has fought, and After last fight for Ricky Glenn, he didn't even win. He got a draw where Grant Dawson just had a field day with the grappling against him in the first 2 rounds before he tired out, and then that's when Ricky Glenn was able to 10-8 him with the striking in round 3. Ricky Glenn does have very good striking, very good hands. He needs to improve his takedown defense, like I just said. But he's going up against a guy in Christoph Giagus who has good hands, good movement. He knows when to move forward, knows when to move back. He has good grappling. He has done the grappling events lately. If you see here, he's fought the bigger competition in Saruki and Moises. He did beat Soriano and Carlton Minus and lost to Drakkar Klose. So when he loses to the top guys in the division. And Wicked Gun has not fought anywhere near that. Like we saw, the best guy that he's fought has been Grant Dawson, and that was Grant Dawson's last fight with his former fight camp. And since then, Grant Dawson's fought twice, uh, being part of the Florida group, and he showcased himself as being a 5 times better fighter now that he's focused, he's wrestling, but then throwing at the same time, and then he's managing that cardio. So in this fight, I got Christoph Giagas by third round sub here. I feel like he's going to be able to manage the movements. He's going to throw, avoid those shots from Glenn. He's going to mix in the grappling because Glenn's going to have a hard time defend those. He's not going to get too grapple heavy, but he's going to have a good mixture of both. He's going to do shots on the ground. Glenn's a guy that has great get up, so he's going to be able to get up. But I think Giagos is just going to pull in more volume and have a good mixture where he gets 2 to 3 takedowns in this fight. And then towards the end, I think he's just going to be too much for Ricky Glenn, and he's going to be able to get him out there by rear naked choke, round 3. So in this one, I got Christoph Giagos by round 3 sub. Moving on to one of my favorite fights on the card. This is one of the first fights on the main card. We got a welterweight battle between Jeremiah Wells going up against Matthew Semmersberger, aka Semi the Jedi. We got Wells, who's the minus 140 favorite, going up against Semmersberger, who's the plus 115 underdog. Semmersberger is a guy that knows how to move forward. He is very durable. He has great cardio. He has good striking, and he has knockout power. That's a big thing with him. He has done a better job at defending takedowns. He has good get-ups, and he just knows how to push the pace and work the pace of his opponent, whereas Jeremiah Wells has knockout power. He has good mixture of striking on the feet with wrestling on the ground, and he has good high-level jiu-jitsu trained at Renzo Gracie Gym in Philadelphia. He's part of those groups, so those guys train hard when it comes to grappling. I think that's going to be the X factor in this fight, because I feel like if he tries to just stand up and trade it Semmersberger the whole fight, he's going to lose, because the Matt Semmersberger has great basics when it comes to striking, and then he has that knockout power. So if he gets hit with one of those overhand shots, he's going to be put to the mat. But if he can throw shots at Matt, avoid his shots, and then mix in the grappling with him, take him to the ground and ground and pound him, that's where he's going to be very strong and very effective. And even if he can use the jiu-jitsu to take the back of Semmersberger, wear him out a little bit, look for the submission entries, and then just use his whole repertoire to attack him, not just get sucked into a stand and a battle of who can knock out the other guy the quickest. And that's going to be the game plan for Jeremiah Wells. And that's why I'm going with Jeremiah Wells by second round knockout here. I think he gets it done via ground and pound. I think they go at each other early. They feel each other out. They start throwing at each other. But then Wells is going to incorporate the wrestling like he always does. He starts out with the striking, and then he always goes to the wrestling, takes his opponents down, and then he tries the ground and pound him with the elbows and the hands there on the mat. He controls his opponents very well. He knows how to keep posture, keep position, And in those Semmelsberger, it has great get ups. He's going to have a hard time getting up from Jeremiah Wells. So as long as the fight can get to the mat, I have confidence that Jeremiah Wells gets it done by ground and pound. But if he looks to stand and trade for this fight with Semmelsberger, I think it's going to be a long battle for him to where he could still win it, but it's not going to be as easy as if he were to game plan to take the fight to the ground, which I think he will. Knowing his coaches, they're going to tell him, go to the ground, go to the ground. So I'm going with Jeremiah Wells by second round finish here. I'm more than likely going to use him in DraftKings this week, just because of the mixture of the grappling, striking, and the possibility of a finish. So definitely look for him uh, for DraftKings if you do a DraftKings lineup this week, and keep an eye. I could be using him on Cage's bet slip as well. Let's move on to the next fight on the main card. We got a women's strawweight battle between Yasmin Lucindo going up against Brogan Walker, the runner-up of Dana White Contender Series, to Juliana Miller. She is the plus 230 underdog, whereas Yasmin Lucindo is the minus 300 favorite. Lucindo's coming in the heavy favorite because she has the grappling background. She likes to strike a lot on the regional scene. She primarily did grappling, but then the last couple of fights, she's showcased her increased evolution of her striking and boxing. Whereas Brogan Walker is a woman that likes to strike, likes to stand on her feet, like to move around, throw kicks, throw combinations, but she doesn't like to be pushed forward. She doesn't like when her opponent's making her move backwards. She has not so great takedown defense. You saw that in the Juliana Miller fight. That's something that looked very bad, and she needs to work on. And I think Lucindo is going to be a woman that takes advantage of it. She's going to throw forward, and she's going to use her striking to open up the grappling entries, and then she's going to look to take Brogan Walker down to the mat and ground and pound her and control her there. I don't think there's going to be a finish here, but I do think that Lucindo is going to control the minutes here. She's going to control the striking game, and then she's going to come out here victorious with a unanimous decision victory over Brogan Walker, unless Brogan Walker has made considerable strides in her takedown defense scheme. That's going to be a big thing here. That's why she's the plus 230 underdog here, because I think striking wise, she is probably a better striker than Lucindo, but because of the big hole in the takedown defense scheme, Lucindo is going to be able to just come in, use the striking to open up her takedown entries. She's going to take her down and then control her on the mat for majority of the fight. So I'm going with Yasmin Lucindo by decision. I'm not going to bet her. I think the minus 300 line is too huge. But if I could get a good decision line or prop line for this fight, I might look into this later on before Saturday. So keep an eye out. But I'm definitely going Yasmin Lucindo by a unanimous decision victory over Brogan Walker. Let's move on to the next fight on the card. We got a lightweight battle between Bobby Green going up against Jared Gordon. What a fight this is going to be. We know Jared Gordon's coming off that controversial loss in his last fight to Paddy Pimblett. He is a guy coming in plus 225 underdog. Bobby Green, the minus 285 favorite. Jared Gordon's coming in. He has a good striking background. He has high level wrestling background as well. You saw in the last fight where he controlled Paddy on the mat, threw those ground and pound, and then mixed in the striking as well on the feet. He has finally found a way to kind of control the two and not be too heavy in one side so that his opponents have more to deal with. Whereas Bobby Green, he is a striker all through and through. He's going to shit talk you. He's going to move forward. He's going to throw a lot. He's going to throw combinations. He has knockout power. He has it all when it's on the feet. He's done a better job of late at defending takedowns. It's still an issue with him at times when he goes up against the high level uh, grappling guys, but he's still able to output anybody on the feet. He's always high volume type of guy where he gets over 100 to 200 strikes in a fight. If he can do 5 rounds, but in 3 rounds, he's definitely getting over 100 strikes or pushing the pace towards it. And the difference in this fight is going to be if he can stop Jared Gordon from going for the takedowns, and if he can just land all those shots on Jared Gordon and be the aggressor in the fight, keep on moving forward, not allowing Jared Gordon to push forward and go for those entries, but make him work, make him having to go off his back foot to go for the takedowns because it's going to be easier to defend them. And when he does that, he's going to be able to just throw those combinations at him, just rack up the volume, and just win the rounds based or do the volume. And maybe he could get the fight finished in the first or second round there because he has great cardio. That's what you saw when he fought Rafael Fiziev was the fact that even though he was getting pieced up by the striking and the leg kicks of Fiziev, that he had the better cardio. When Fiziev started to falter and so down, that's when Bobby Green took over and won the last minute or two of round 2 and then won the third round. He didn't win the fight, but he came close because of his cardio. His cardio is a great addition to his game and allows him to throw for high volume at a high pace for a longer period of time compared to his opponents. And Jared Gordon has been known to slow down a little bit later in fights, so that's going to be a big factor in this one. But I'm going to go Bobby Green here. I think he gets it done by decision. I haven't seen him finish that many guys of late, but I do see him going high volume in fights, going the distance, and just beating them that way, and just doing more than they can do because he knows how to get the fight to his game plan, and that's high volume, high pace, pushing forward. So I got Bobby Green in this one by unanimous decision victory. Let's move on to the co-main event of the evening. 1 point to give you guys. This used to be a battle between Ricky Simone and Yadong Sung in the co-main event. But as you know, because of the Saruki and Bernardo Makana fight getting canceled, they pushed the Simone and Sung fight to the main event of a UFC Vegas 72 next Saturday. So that's why this fight is the new co-main event. We got a middleweight battle between Brad Tavares going up against Bruno Silva. Brad Tavares is coming in. He's a guy that just does a little bit of everything decently, meat and potatoes, grapples well, he strikes well, and he has good movement, but he tends to slow down a little bit in fights towards round 2 and 3. But it's not too bad, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. You got Bruno Silva, who's a high octane striker. He throws a lot of leg kicks. He has knockout power. And yes, he has lost twice in the last 5 fights, 2-fight losing streak. But there's two guys like Jared Mershot, who is a submission artist. He lost to him by guillotine choke when he was actually winning the fight and doing a better job. He just got caught. And then Alex Fajeda, that was just a fight where Alex Fajeda had the more volume and had the better striking, but Bruno Silva was keeping par with him. He just couldn't throw more and land more than Alex Fajeda, and that's why Alex Fajeda got the win over him by decision in that fight. But that was a very fun fight. And we've seen with Brad Tavares, he pushed a fun fight against Drake Ku Duplessis. He had the split decision win over Omari Akhmedov, basically because of the Omari Akhmedov getting tired late in the fight, and that's when Tavares was able to take over with the limited striking and the grappling along the cage. You're going to try and see a lot of that in this matchup, just because of the fact that Bruno Silva, I think, is the better striker, but I think Tavares is going to look to try and limit that by grappling along the cage, throwing those elbows, throwing those knees, and just controlling the pace and slow the pace down, which would favor him more. I don't think it works. I'm going with the underdog here in Bruno Silva. I think he knocks out Brad Tavares in round 2 or round 3. I just think his striking's better. I think his movement's better, and I just think even though he didn't win that Fajita fight, I still look at it as a positive thing that he was able to just go toe to toe with him. And I don't think that submissions are going to be a threat to him with Brad Tavares where it was with GM3. So I'm going the underdog here to win by knockout round 2 or 3. So Bruno Silva at that plus 130 line, I really like this week, betting wise, and I'm going to look at him on DraftKings once I look at the lines later today. So it's definitely a guy to keep an eye on for Saturday, betting wise. Bruno Silva, round 2 knockout. Let's move on to the main event of the evening. This is the big time matchup here in the heavyweight division. We got Sergey Pavlovich, who's the plus 145 underdog, going up against Curtis Razor Blades. And this is just going to be a juggernaut of a fight. First, you got Curtis Blades with that wrestling background. This guy has knockout power in his hands. He primarily throws overhand shots, sometimes hooks, lately he's been shown a jab and shots to the body, but it's all just a matter of using that to get to the grapple. And he likes to shoot for takedowns from far away. He uses his wrestling to take guys down. His wrestling weight's kind of like high due to the fact that he had 13 in one fight, like 4 or 5 fights ago. But he's still a great grappler. He uses that to control his opponents on the mat. But then you got Sergey Pavlovich, who's coming in with a tall body. You see right there, he's 6'3". He like just 1 inch smaller than Curtis Blades, but he has that 4-inch reach advantage, which is going to play a huge factor because his game plan is knockout all day. He has his long hands, his quick movements. He's throwing the overhand shot. He's using that reach advantage. He's throwing the hook. He's throwing the uppercut. He's doing whatever he can to get his opponents out in round 1. If you look at his career, all but 2 fights have ended in the first round by knockout because this guy has power in his hands. He has the movement. You see guys like Tai Tuivasa and Derek Lewis who are known for knocking out opponents, and he finished them with ease in both those fights because he's always constantly moving forward. He's always constantly pushing the pace, making his opponents move back because it's harder for you to throw off your back foot than it is throwing forward, and he can generate more power that way. And against a guy that's going to try and grapple with him, I think he's going to have an advantage there in the striking game. I got to keep an eye out on the fact that Curtis Blades might use his grappling here, and we really haven't seen Sergey Pavlovich tested when it comes to the grappling side of things, and that could be a big thing in a 5-round fight like this, especially if he gets moved forward in like rounds, like round 2, 3, 4. If the fight goes that long, how is Sergey Pavlovich going to look? Because we've seen Curtis Blades go 5 rounds several times, and he has a good gas tank and he has a good motor because he lets his grappling work the way it does to kind of savor some of his gas tank, so he's not thrown for 5 rounds. So if he can do that, this fight could be completely different than what I think it's going to be. But I think I'm leaning to a Sergey Pavlovich by first round knockout here. I know he's the plus 145 underdog, but it's hard to go against him with the last 3 fights that he's had where he's just completely dismantled and dominated his opponents within 2-3 minutes of the fight starting just because of his reach advantage, the fact that he rushes forward, and no guy has been able to deal with that power. And he knows how to spread the throwing of his hands too. He's not just throwing at one spot. He's throwing it everywhere, and he's just alone on guys, and it's like a cinder block is hitting you from different directions, and these guys just can't handle it. And I think he can stuff the early takedowns by Curtis Blades, but if Curtis Blades' last fight against Chris Dawkins, because the one against Tom Aspinall only lasted like 30 seconds because of injury, if that's any indication of things, Curtis Blades is going to try and strike with his opponent early and then mix the grapple later on in the fight to so that they have different looks to look at. So if that's the case, and that makes it almost easier for me because I feel like Sergey Pavlovich is just going to use the reach to connect on Blades, get him stunned, and he's going to throw that barrage at him to try and finish him. So I'm on the underdog here in this big time main event. Sergey Pavlovich by first round knockout. I think this leads to him getting a title fight in the future. I would have to think that the winner of this should get the next shot at John Jones or Stipe, whoever is the champion at the time, if they can ever book the fight. Because I think Sirigan is moved to the back of the pile now after losing to John Jones. And I think Sergey Pavlovich or Blades will get the next shot here. So once again, I'm going with the underdog here. Sergey Pavlovich by first round knockout. I'll be using him on DraftKings this week as one of my high getters. And on top of that, I'm definitely going with him to win the fight for Cage's bet slip. I'm going to go Sergey Pavlovich money line, and then I'm going to go Sergey Pavlovich by knockout plus round one. So I'm going to be heavy on the Pavlovich side for betting this week on UFC Vegas 71. But other than that, that would do it for this week's episode of Cage My IQ. This was the UFC Vegas 71 picks and predictions by Cage My IQ. You can check me out every week on the Bloodline Entertainment Network and on Cage My IQ. So definitely give both shows of both networks a follow. Once again, we got the Bloodline Entertainment Network on YouTube at www.youtube.com/ at the Bloodline ENT. And then, of course, we got Cage My Q. So, once again, you can find me on all social media. I'm on Twitter at CageIQ, and I'm on YouTube at CageMyIQ. So, give us a follow on both of those. Subscribe to both YouTube channels. And once again, smash the like button down below and hit me up in the comment section to the right and let me know what you think of my picks and predictions, who you're going to go with, and what your DraftKings lineup's going to be for this Saturday's fight night pay-per-view. So other than that, that'll wrap things up for today's show. I'm your host, Cage. I'm so glad to be part of the Bloodline Entertainment Network. I hope you check on any of the other shows on the network that we have for sports, entertainment, wrestling, and anime. But you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.